The grease-stained apron clung to Ethan's chest like a punishment he hadn't earned. 3 days ago, he'd been sitting in a leather chair that cost more than most people's rent. Now he was elbow-deep in gray dishwater, surrounded by clattering plates and the smell of burnt coffee at Martinez Family Diner. Branch 47, the worst-performing location in his family's 200-restaurant empire. New guy. Those plates aren't going to wash themselves, barked Kenny the night cook as he slammed another greasy stack onto the counter. Got it, Ethan muttered, keeping his head down. Nobody here knew that Ethan Cole was actually Ethan Martinez, son of Richard Martinez, the man who'd built this empire from a single food truck. His father had given him 1 month to go undercover, figure out why this location was failing, and prove he deserved a seat at the executive table. So far, Ethan had only learned 2 things. Dishwashing destroyed your hands, and the night shift smelled like a mixture of burnt coffee and broken dreams. It was nearly midnight when he carried the last bag of trash outside. Cold November air bit into his forearms as he heaved it into the dumpster. He turned to go back in when he heard it, a soft creak from the storage room door. Everyone had clocked out. He'd watched them leave. Curiosity outweighed exhaustion. Ethan slipped back inside, moving quietly past the dish station. The kitchen was dark except for the pale hum of a security light above the prep counter. He heard a faint rustling, like paper being unwrapped. He peered around the corner and froze. A young woman sat hunched on an overturned milk crate, her back against the wall. Her waitress uniform, teal polo with Mia embroidered on the pocket, was wrinkled and spotted from the day's work. In her hands was half a burger still wrapped in wax paper. She ate quickly, mechanically, her eyes fixed on the ground. He recognized her. Mia, the quiet one who always took the worst tables, never complained, never smiled. She'd serve him coffee twice without making eye contact. She finished the burger, folded the wrapper neatly, then reached for a small container of limp fries. She ate them all carefully, as if rationing each bite. Ethan's chest tightened. He wasn't disgusted. He was heartbroken. This wasn't someone sneaking food for fun. This was someone surviving. Mia moved like someone practiced in not being seen. She packed the containers into a grocery bag and slipped toward the back exit. The door clicking shut softly behind her. Ethan stood there for a long time, the hum of the refrigerators the only sound. He'd come here expecting to find lazy workers or corrupt managers. Instead, he found something far more complicated. A person caught in quiet struggle, hidden in plain sight. The next morning, Ethan arrived 30 minutes early, barely having slept. Mia's image haunted him, her hollow eyes, her careful movements. He found Greg, the branch manager, in the cramped office that smelled like energy drinks and frustration. "Morning," Greg said without looking up. "You're early. Don't expect overtime." "Just wanted to ask a question," Ethan said. "Do we still offer staff meals?" Greg snorted. "Corporate cut that program 6 months ago. Cost-saving measure. Now, they get a 20% discount." "Why?" "Just curious." Greg frowned. "Don't get ideas. We've had problems with food theft lately. Installing cameras next week. Anyone caught stealing, terminated. No exceptions." Ethan forced a nod. "Got it. 6 months ago. That lined up perfectly. That's when she must have started sneaking leftovers." During the lunch rush, Ethan kept an eye on Mia. She moved between tables like a ghost, efficient, polite, invisible. When a customer snapped at her, she apologized 3 times. When another waitress called in sick, Mia skipped her break to cover the extra tables. Nobody thanked her. Nobody noticed. "She's weird, huh?" said Danny, a dishwasher beside Ethan. "Never talks. Probably thinks she's better than everyone. Maybe she's just focused on work," Ethan said carefully. Danny shrugged. Focused or stuck up. Same difference. Ethan bit back his anger. She's surviving, he thought. There's a difference. That night, Ethan hid near the dumpsters again. Sure enough, at 11:52, the back door opened. Mia stepped out with her grocery bag and hurried down the block toward the bus stop. He made a decision. He had to understand before Greg's cameras caught her and corporate policy crushed her. Over the next few days, Ethan stayed late, pretending to work, but watching Mia. He saw her train new waiters, calm irate customers, and give up her breaks. She smiled once, a fleeting thing, when she saved a toddler from running into the kitchen. But he noticed something else. She never ate. When he tried to talk to her, she was defensive, wary. "You're really good at this job," he'd said once. "I've noticed you help everyone." Her eyes flickered. "I'm just doing my job." And that was that. Kenny, the cook, pulled him aside later. "Don't bother her, man. She's got secrets. Always rushing out. Never hangs out. Real quiet types, you know?" Ethan said nothing, but anger burned inside him. You have secrets, too, if life backed you into a corner. That night, Ethan watched from the shadows again. This time, Mia wasn't just packing leftovers. She was cleaning, too. Wiping surfaces, reorganizing supplies, making sure everything was shut down properly, as if earning the right to take the discarded food. When she finally left, Ethan felt something break inside. She's not stealing, he thought. She's surviving with dignity. Friday morning, Greg gathered everyone in the break room. "All right, listen up," he said, clicking his remote. A grainy photo appeared on the TV. Someone in the storage room. "We've had food theft for months. New cameras go up this weekend. Anyone caught taking food without paying, terminated." The room buzzed with whispers. Ethan glanced at Mia in the back corner. Her face had gone pale. Greg's voice cut through. "No exceptions. 20% discount if you want food. Otherwise, buy it or bin it." Ethan saw her knuckles go white. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't. Not yet. He had 72 hours before the cameras went live. 72 hours before she'd be exposed. Saturday was chaos. A huge birthday party showed up without a reservation. 2 waiters called in sick, and the kitchen ran out of bacon. Through it all, Mia worked like a machine, efficient, calm, untouchable. But she didn't eat. Not once. That night, Greg made another announcement. "Camera team's coming tomorrow morning," he said. "Corporate wants proof. If they find systematic theft, everyone gets audited." His tone softened. Times are tough, but stealing just makes it worse. Ethan could hear the script behind his words. He overheard him later on the phone. "Yes, Mr. Martinez. Policy is policy. I'll handle it." Ethan's stomach twisted. His father was watching this closely now. At 12:15 a.m., Ethan followed Mia's bus across town. The city lights gave way to cracked sidewalks and boarded-up shops. When she got off a crumbling apartment building, 2 kids burst out of a door marked 3C, shouting, "Mia, did you bring food?" Mia knelt down, laughing for the first time he'd ever seen her laugh. From his car, Ethan saw her unpack the containers, dividing food carefully between the 2 children. The boy got the burger. The girl got fries and half a sandwich. Mia ate nothing. A neighbor, an elderly woman, appeared and handed over a small grocery bag. Mia thanked her with a weary smile. Ethan sat there, frozen, the truth slamming into him. She's not stealing to eat. She's stealing to feed them. When his phone buzzed, it was a message from his father. Update on Branch 47. For the first time in his life, Ethan didn't know what to write. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat in his car until dawn. The image of Mia feeding those children burned into his mind. Every corporate report, every quarterly metric, every efficiency improvement now looked like a weapon aimed at people like her. By morning, he'd made up his mind. He wasn't going to let her get caught. When he arrived at the diner, Greg was already there, overseeing 2 men in uniform installing small black cameras in the corners of the ceiling. "Surveillance finally arrives," Greg said, sipping his coffee. "We'll see who's been treating this place like a charity." Ethan forced a neutral expression. "You think it's really that bad?" Greg shrugged. "You'd be surprised what people will do when they think no one's watching. Corporate wants results." Ethan's jaw tightened. Maybe corporate should try living off minimum wage before calling people thieves. Greg gave him a sharp look. "Careful, rookie. You sound like a bleeding heart." Ethan just smiled faintly. "If only you knew who I was." That night, Ethan stayed late again. The diner emptied out. Lights dimmed, and the hum of the refrigerators filled the silence. He crouched by the circuit box, unscrewing a panel and quietly disconnecting one of the new cameras, just the one aimed at the storage room. If his father saw that, he'd know someone tampered with it. Ethan didn't care. Mia deserved at least one more night without being punished for her kindness. At 11:50, the back door creaked open. Mia slipped inside, quiet as ever, scanning the shadows before taking a few wrapped sandwiches and a salad bowl that would have gone into the trash by morning. "Hey," Ethan said softly. She froze. The bag in her hand trembled. What are you doing here?" "Just cleaning up," he said, stepping into the light. "You don't have to lie. I've seen you." Her eyes widened, panic rising. "Please don't tell Greg. I'll pay him back, I swear. I know," Ethan said gently. "You're not stealing. You're surviving, feeding those kids." She went still, her lips parting in shock. "You followed me?" "Yes. I'm sorry. I had to understand." Her shoulders sagged. For the first time, Ethan saw the exhaustion in her face, the deep bruises under her eyes. "They're my brother and sister," she whispered. "Our mom passed last year. Foster care was not an option. I'm all they have. Rent's late, food's expensive, and I can't work more shifts without dropping from exhaustion." Ethan's throat tightened. "Why didn't you ask for help?" She gave a small, bitter laugh. "Help? From who? Greg? He barely looks at me. From corporate? They'd fire me faster than I could finish the sentence." He wanted to tell her right then that he was corporate, that the man who could change everything was standing right in front of her. But something stopped him. He wanted to see the truth of how this place worked through her eyes first. "Please," she said softly, "if you tell anyone, I'll lose this job. And if I lose it—" Her voice broke. "They'll take the kids." Ethan swallowed hard. "I'm not going to tell anyone." Her eyes searched his. "Then why are you here?" He hesitated. "Because maybe someone should see what this place really does to people." For the first time, she looked at him with something like trust. 2 days later, the corporate inspection team arrived unannounced. Suits, clipboards, and cold smiles. Ethan had warned Mia to take the night off. She didn't argue. Greg was almost giddy. "We'll get to the bottom of this tonight," he said to the regional director, a tall woman named Ms. Patel. Ethan stayed near the kitchen, pretending to fix the dishwasher while listening. At 9:45, Greg marched back, pulled up footage on his tablet, and froze. "Wait a second." Ms. Patel leaned over. "That's odd. Camera 3's blank. Must have been tampered with," Greg said. "I'll check it." "Or maybe the camera malfunctioned," Ethan interrupted quickly. "Those new models overheat sometimes." Greg frowned. "How would you know that?" Ethan's tone stayed casual. "My old job had the same setup." Ms. Patel nodded. "Happens more often than you'd think. Focus on the others." Greg scrolled through, frustrated, finding nothing incriminating. "Looks like whoever was stopped." "Good," Ms. Patel said. "Then the threat is over." But Greg wasn't satisfied. Later, after everyone left, he pulled Ethan aside. "You were near the camera that night, weren't you?" Ethan met his gaze evenly. "You really think I'd risk my job over a sandwich?" Greg smirked. "I think you know more than you're saying." He turned to leave, but Ethan's patience finally cracked. "You treat your people like trash, Greg. Maybe that's why this place is failing. Not because of theft, but because you've forgotten what it's like to care." Greg spun around. "Watch yourself, rookie." Ethan smiled coldly. "No, you watch yourself." The next morning, Ethan was gone. He'd left a resignation note on the break room corkboard. No one knew that the note was just a cover. He was flying back to headquarters. That Monday, Greg got the shock of his life when a corporate email arrived. Subject: Leadership Audit, Branch 47 to all staff. Effective immediately, this location will undergo a full operational review by the executive board. Temporary management changes will occur. Cooperation is mandatory. Greg stormed into the diner, red-faced, shouting into his phone. "What the hell is going on, Richard? Why am I being audited?" A calm voice answered. Because my son said you forgot how to lead. Greg froze. You're your son? The front doors opened. Ethan stepped in, dressed sharply now, his name tag replaced with a sleek badge that read, Ethan Martinez, Executive Director, Operations. Gasps rippled through the staff. Mia, who had just clocked in, stopped mid-step, her mouth slightly open. Greg stammered. You're... The undercover audit, Ethan said simply. I've seen enough. He turned to Mia. Can you come to my office after your shift? Her eyes widened, fear flickering in them. Am I in trouble? Ethan shook his head. Quite the opposite. That afternoon, she entered the small office, clutching her apron. Ethan stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back. Sit down, he said gently. You don't have to be afraid. She sat silent. I owe you an apology, he began. For watching, for not stepping in sooner. I came here undercover to understand why this diner was failing. What I found was you, someone holding it together through sheer willpower. Tears welled in her eyes. You were the new dishwasher. He nodded. And you were the one teaching me what real work looks like. He handed her a folder. Inside is a new contract. Full-time assistant manager. Starting next week. Benefits, housing stipend, and childcare allowance. You've earned it. She stared at the paper, unable to speak. You're serious? Completely. Her lip trembled. Why me? Because people like you are why this company started. My father built it for workers who believed in dignity. Somewhere along the way, we lost that. You reminded me. She covered her face, sobbing softly. Ethan walked around the desk and placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to hide anymore. When she looked up, gratitude shone through her tears. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Call me Ethan. The audit was brutal, but honest. Greg was removed, policies were changed, and a new employee meal program was reinstated across all branches. Corporate reports later showed Branch 47 improving faster than any other diner in the chain. But numbers didn't tell the real story. The real story was Mia no longer sneaking leftovers, no longer invisible. She greeted customers with genuine smiles now. The two kids came by sometimes, sitting proudly at a corner booth while their sister managed the floor. One evening, Ethan stopped by for dinner. She spotted him instantly, shaking her head with mock disapproval. You know, she said, setting down his coffee, you make a terrible dishwasher. He grinned. Good thing I found a better teacher. Their laughter echoed through the diner, the same place that had once been filled only with silence. Epilogue. Months later, during a company-wide meeting, Ethan presented a new initiative, the Human Dignity Program, a policy ensuring no employee of Martinez Family Diners would ever go hungry again. He ended his speech with a single photo projected on the screen. Mia, smiling behind the counter, her brother and sister beside her, plates full, and beneath it, the words that had changed everything. Sometimes the smallest kindness exposes the biggest truth.